once more on the first day of the legal tampering window being open in NFL free agency, and the Miami Dolphins have made some moves as they went out and got one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, as well as one of the most mobile and athletic centers we could ask for to man the interior of that offensive line. We got a lot to talk about. As you come through, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. It's going to open a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! From sad to glad, from in the dumps to living the high life, the Miami Dolphins have made some moves, smart moves, great moves against the cap and great fits. And we're going to talk about them as, man, the Miami Dolphins, as soon as I was done with the episode earlier today, they went right to work, and it started out with clearing a whole bunch of cap space. They got active and they got right to it, and we are going to talk about it all. Appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. Man, there's a lot to talk about tonight, because even around Jordyn Brooks, our new inside linebacker, there are some myths out there that we are going to prove to be false, and that goes with coverage. And perfect example tonight for all of you who always use PFF grades as gospel, and you hear me tell you never trust the PFF grades unless it backs up what your eye is telling you on the tape. Today is going to be an absolute perfect example, so stick around as we get into the Jordyn Brooks news and the Aaron Brewer news. And shout out to Jennifer Forbush as well as Dollfan72. They did a couple spaces on X with us today, me and Neil. It was fantastic conversation. Great to do stuff with those ladies. And, one of the conversations we had, because I hopped into a space after I did the episode earlier, and, shout out to Cap, shout out to Color, all those guys who came up there. And, one of the things, and shout out to Dubs MC, he's one of the biggest supporters of this channel. So when I was up there, I said to them, it was after the Anthony Walker, edition. I said, I don't think we're done. You look at his injury history. I said, this is the guy who's going to replace Duke Riley. This is the guy who they're going to lean on if something happens. And sure as, the sun shines on a beautiful cloudless day, here we are where, hey, we asked earlier, are they going after Patrick Queen, right? And I said up here, and I said in the space, Seattle and Mike McDonald, they could get us into a bidding war. Well, it sure seems like they just pivoted from what the Seattle Seahawks let walk, and that was one of the best coverage linebackers in football. And Jordyn Brooks, a guy who amasses tackles at a massive rate. Listen, you can see the vision on that second level starting to come together right now. All right, you've added Anthony Walker along with David Long, two excellent run stoppers, and then you've added one of the better coverage linebackers in the game with Jordyn Brooks. Now, obviously, I don't think Duke Riley is going to get cut. He contributes on special teams. He has stepped up. I think this is an indictment on Channing Tindall. If you want my honest opinion, I think this might be, and I talked about it in the space. I said it with Courtney and with Neil. I said, and I brought it up. The issue you're running into here with Channing Tindall is year one, what happened with Boyer? Couldn't grasp the playbook. Year two, it looked like we repeated the same thing with a new defensive coordinator, a new scheme, and a new defensive playbook. Looks like he couldn't grasp it. Year three, we're switching over again. And there's probably a high probability based on the last 2 years, Channing Tindall's not going to adapt real quick and grasp it real quick. And it does seem like they don't have the faith in Channing Tindall. I don't think this is an indictment on Duke Riley. I think this is an indictment on Channing Tindall. Now, I do think, we won't be leaning on Duke Riley, thank, God, as much as we had to at the end there because it was rough. And that's why I think they added Anthony Walker, right? So, starting to see the vision come together, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Is adding the Titans center a potential precursor to a certain king putting on a crown in Miami? Now, the word on the street is the Baltimore Ravens are trying to clear up money to make it work for Derrick Henry. They've been in contact with his camp today, so I don't know how much of a realistic possibility that is. But if you didn't see it, Raheem Mostert tweeted out either yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Was it today? It had to have been today. He tweeted out today about how he's happy seeing all of everyone get paid and da-da-da-da-da. And as soon as I saw that, I said, man, I've been saying on my channel for weeks and weeks now, Raheem Mostert's going to look at what he did last year. He's going to turn around. He's going to say, do you think I'm playing this year for no guaranteed money? I got a feeling. And ladies and gentlemen, let's hop right into it without any further ado. All right, let's start off with something that, I had yesterday, that I had today. As soon as we finished the stream, this came out. We were done at, just after 6 o'clock today. And at about 6:26, we got details on everything. Not only did they clear $19.912 million with cap space with Jalen Ramsey, they also did conversions on the contracts of Zach Sealer, Alec Ingold, and Durham Smythe. Coupled with the Jalen Ramsey conversion, Miami cleared $28.78 million, and they got under the cap as soon as we were done our show earlier. Now, what this doesn't account for is the potential $8 million extra that we got from restructuring Terron Armstead. So if you add in Terron Armstead, we actually created about $37 million of cap space. So, man, they and you could get the sense that all that money just getting cleared up, something was coming down the pipeline. You could feel it. Right? You could feel it. You could feel it in your giblets that it was coming. And sure enough, it came, and it came fast and heavy with two huge moves by the Miami Dolphins. There ain't no other way to really cut around it. The Miami Dolphins, their first big move today, they signed Jordyn Brooks to a 3-year, $30 million deal. You are talking about one of the better coverage linebackers in the NFL. And I brought evidence to back that statement up, especially with the myths going around. But you're also talking about a guy, check this one out, 111 tackles last year, 161 tackles in 2022, and 184 tackles in 2021, ladies and gentlemen. 4.5 sacks last year, career high. I want you to hear that again, ladies and gentlemen. In 2021, 184 total tackles. In 2022, 161 total tackles. Oh, baby. Unbelievable. I love the move. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic move with Jordyn Brooks. What an upgrade from Jerome Baker, and right around where they wanted to be at financially. I am a fan of this move in a big, big way. You got a guy who he reads keys well, doesn't fall for the okie doke in play action. Guys, he's been sent out in coverage and he's carried with Jamar Chase in coverage. All right? We are talking about a legitimate option here. And him and David Long with Anthony Walker being rotated in, my lord. Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing the linebacker crew and unit go from one of our weakest units on the field defensively to one of the strongest. Man, I am a huge fan of this move. Now, Jordyn Brooks, when you look at what this kid does and what he's about, listen, you're talking about a guy who he's got a nose, man. He's got a nose. Now, he's not going to be the best run stopper ever, but he's got that pursuit. We didn't lose that pursuit speed. We got better in coverage, and you're not going to have all of his tackles being accumulated 4 or 5 yards down the field like a certain someone else. Now, I don't believe he made my. I want to say he didn't. He didn't make my top 30 free agents. Frankie Lavu was my number one linebacker that I wanted, and he got that deal with the Commanders. Obviously, I had Patrick Queen on here. He's out of, he was 15 because of his money. He's, obviously that ship has sailed. But I think I only had 2 linebackers on that whole list. But yeah, he would have been right in there. He would have been right in there and right in there at third. Levante David, he's old, and Bobby Wagner, I don't know if he wants to come to the East Coast. But yeah, Jordyn Brooks would have been right up there behind Frankie Lavu and obviously behind Patrick Queen. I think you got one of the top 3 linebackers on the open market right now, given production, age, etc. And you didn't break the bank. That's what counts the most here. The linebacker market seems like it's being one of the more stable, reasonable markets. And they signed Anthony Walker to a 1-year deal, so you knew that was going to be a holdover. And now with this 3-year deal with Jordyn Brooks, we're obviously going to wait for the contract to come out so we can break it all down. But, this is a fantastic move by Chris Grier for Anthony Weaver and for this defense. I'm liking the way our linebacking core is shaping up, right? Think of it, our top 4, David Long, Jordyn Brooks, Anthony Walker Jr., and Duke Riley. And Duke Riley in there as a 4, as a special teams guy and a 4th rotational piece. That's the role I like him in. I don't like him in the starting role. I don't like him taking up a lot of snaps. This is a comfortable role. It allows you, the domino effect is positive to the room as well with both moves today. So, man, I got to give the props to Chris Grier and Anthony Weaver, because his vision is being executed. He's putting his thumbprint on this defense. We've been complaining for years about that second level. Since Kiko and those boys were there, it ain't been the same. So, man, I'm excited about this addition. I'm a fan of this addition. And I think, obviously I see someone who should resign Jerome Baker. My friend, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. 2 ships have sailed today. 2. We'll talk about the second one a little bit. Let's talk more about Jordyn Brooks for a second here. So, in terms of Jordyn Brooks I want to get into a few things here. First of all, if you want a breakdown of his contract, don't worry, I got you. It's a 3-year agreement. It's a base value of 3 years, $26.25 million. It's about $8.7 million a year per source. Brooks can make up to a maximum of $10 million on the deal. So there you go. There are the intricacies of his new deal with the Miami Dolphins. Over 710 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Honestly, Rome, can I be honest with you? At the price they paid for Jordyn Brooks, now if Patrick Queen comes in at $12 million, I don't think it's far off. But if Patrick Queen was going to be coming in at 16 or 18 million, like the projections were, I will take Jordyn Brooks at 10 million. I'll tell you right now, I'll take Jordyn Brooks at 10 million a year for 3 years over Patrick Queen at 12 plus million a year over 3 years. I will. I really will. I think this is a great deal. This is a fantastic deal. You want to hear something earth-shattering here? This is going to hurt Seattle more than losing Bobby Wagner. This is a move that's going to be hard for them to recover from. And Seattle fans are out there even saying it right now. And Seattle all 22 film junkies are out there saying that this one's going to be hurt and it's going to be hard for them to recover. There were respectable people in that community saying they would have paid Jordyn Brooks 15 plus million a year. We got a good one here. Now let's talk about this. There's a myth out here, and PFF has kind of tried to push it a little bit, I guess. What did they have? PFF this year, what did he have? A 59. Look at his coverages. He had 59.9 coverage this year, 40.7 the year before, 43.4 the year before, 20. This is why I tell you, watch the tape. That's why I tell you, watch the tape. Don't rely on PFF grades to do the work for you. I'm going to give you an example. So I got 3 clips lined up for you. All right? We're going to watch 3 clips. All right? You're going to see Brooks. I want you to see him. He's going to cover 87 out of the seam. I'm going to circle him every time. So let's watch it. I want you to see. This is why you got to watch the film and not look at PFF grades and be lazy. I'm about to show you. Let's get into it. Roll it, baby. So check him right there. He's going to cover 87 out of the seam. Look at him run, even after the stutter. Just stays with him, all right? No problem, all right? Now, let's see him here. I want you to watch this. I'm going to show you both angles. Watch him not fall for the play action. Takes a false step away and still cuts off and gets underneath that crosser to Cooper Kupp. Did you see that? Watch it from this angle. Watch him. 56 right there to the right. I want you to watch him here. Right? Watch him. He's going to bite a little bit, but look at how quickly he recovers and gets underneath Kupp. Look at that. Took him away. Now watch him here. He's going to follow OBJ. He's going to wipe out OBJ. I want you to watch him here. Watch him drop back, feels the crosser, gets underneath it. You see? That's a smart player right there. So these people trying to tell you that he isn't good in coverage, they are lying to you, my friends. Watch him here, 56, to your right there, near Jamal Adams. Watch him. Watch him ride with OBJ. Watch, he feels the coverage. Look, it gets right underneath. Takes it away and forces a scramble. So these people out here telling you that Jordyn Brooks can't cover, don't listen to them. Watch the film. Go watch him against the Bengals. They trusted him so much in coverage, they had him on some reps taking Jamar Chase out of the slot. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic signing. This is a big boy move, right? I'm in love with this. Y'all know how I felt about Jerome Baker, and you ain't never heard me talk about Jerome Baker the way I talk about Jordyn Brooks. This is a great signing, ladies and gentlemen. And go watch the tape. They give him so many tough matchups in Seattle because they trust him. I just finished telling you putting him one-on-one with Jamar Chase out of the slot. What lunatic lines up a linebacker with Jamar Chase out of the slot? And you can find reps where he's carrying Jamar the whole route and wiping him out. I'm telling you, this is a great signing. Great signing. And and the cost is a big reason why. $10 million a year for this guy? Sign me up. I want everyone to realize this. We just paid him what Van Ginkel wanted. And I'm sorry. I'm taking Jordyn Brooks 7 days out of the week. I love Andrew Van Ginkel, but $10 million for a number 3 rotational edge rusher or one of the better coverage linebackers out there? No. I'm taking Jordyn Brooks, and I'm taking him all day. And I like Andrew Van Ginkel. Now, if you say Andrew Van Ginkel at $7 million, we're going to have a conversation because Andrew Van Ginkel at $7 million is a fantastic deal. But you look at what this player brings to the table and you encompass the deal as well. This is fantastic all around for the Miami Dolphins. This is a Chris Grier W. So that's where I'm at. I'm a fan of this move. I see Ball Games in the chat. He's a fan of the move. I mean, I can't believe we got him at this cost. I am like, I am over the moon right now. Because you know what? Here's what people realize. This is where people... Bobby Wagner has been falling off in coverage the last 2 years as he's been getting older. And Jordyn Brooks, he's had to take on bigger responsibilities, but he's also suffered from Bobby Wagner not being as good and as spry in coverage as he used to be. So, kudos to Chris Grier and Anthony Weaver for because he ID'd it. Ooh, I'm excited about this move, ladies and gentlemen. 3 years, $30 million. Sign me up. Sign me up. All day, every day. Great move. And I'll go even further. Look at when you break down the analytics. Look at the analytics with Jordyn Brooks. I know you see Anthony Walker up there too, ladies and gentlemen. I know you see him at number 3. Look, you see Anthony Walker number 3 and Jordyn Brooks at number 7 in overall separation percentile. We got 2 of the top 7 guys in terms of preventing separation in man, zone, and overall. Anthony Walker's number 3. Not too great in man, but in zone, he's damn near lights out. Jordyn Brooks, fantastic in man. Leaves a little bit of desired in zone. But, I mean, when you add it all up, look at that. They just added a guy who, they literally added the opposites. We got Anthony Walker out there in zone. We're good in coverage. We got Jordan Walker out there in man. We're good in coverage. And when we ask him to go into zone, he can give us decent production as well. So I've showed you visual evidence. Now I've shown you analytical evidence. If you ever see a myth out there trying to say Jordyn Brooks is not good in coverage, you can refer them to this video. Not to mention, he played last year returning off a major ACL injury. So, I'm a fan. This is a huge move for the Miami Dolphins. John C. comes through and he says, JB first rounder in 2020, linebackers are undervalued. I agree, Reason. Very good move. It's kind of feeling that way, isn't it? It's kind of feeling that linebacker is the underappreciated defensive unit now. And it feels like next offseason, you might get a spike in linebacker. And the guy who might look to do it and bring that, the guy who's going to set the market, right, is it's probably going to be Micah Parsons. He's probably going to be the one that elevates the money. But, you know, and right, because he's due a new contract after, 2025, I believe? So he's going to be the one. Micah Parsons is going to be the one that's going to bump up that market for them, I think. That's what I think the move's going to be. He's going to be the one that gets the linebackers paid. And then you're going to go from there. It makes sense. And this is what I'm telling y'all. Listen, one of my end crushes of this draft, Chop Robinson. Now, we still need edge. We've taken care of linebacker. Man, look at what's opening up at 21 now. We don't got to worry about the Peyton Wilsons or the Edgerrin Coopers, right? Now you can worry about taking a tackle that can play guard or taking a edge or an interior. You can take a Jazire Newton. You can take, there's options. Leatu Latu if he's there. There's options now you can take on the table. And now 55 opens up a little bit, right? 55 was another area where you could look at taking maybe a Cedric Gray or a linebacker there. Now there's other options. Now wide receiver becomes open. If an Xavier Legette is on the board, right? All of a sudden now more options are opening them up. We've basically taken care of our linebacker core. I don't see much changes coming right now. Just like I don't see us drafting a tight end after the Jonnu addition. Amanda asks, so at pick 21, who are you looking at? Defensive end? It all depends on how the board falls. With defensive end, you're talking about guys like Leatu Latu, Jared Verse, Chop Robinson. You're going to keep me hearing me, just hammer the Chop Robinson because you're talking about a guy who's 20 pounds heavier than Parsons. And he comes from Penn State like Parsons. He's 20 pounds heavier than Parsons, but he's got the same athleticism and explosiveness to him. Chop Robinson feels like, to me, if you look at the edges, Chop Robinson might have the highest ceiling of all the edge players. So edge is, again, I just brought Jazire Newton. What if Byron Murphy doesn't go in the top 10? Defensive tackle could be on the board on 21. Listen, if a Talise Fuaga or an Olu Fashanu or Troy Fodnu is sitting there at 21, guys who can play tackle but can play guard till Armstead leaves, I can't argue with that pick. We're getting to I can't argue with edge depending on how the board falls, and I can't argue with tackle who can play guard depending on how the board falls. I also can't argue, like, you go get Johnny Newton, he might be, one of the better replacements. I think there's some guys that stand out to me that could be great replacements. When you're talking about that first round, Johnny Newton might be the best option. When you get into that second round, is Fisk going to be there at 55? Are you going to have to pivot to a guy like Chris Jenkins or a guy I'm high on like Mason Smith? Right? Like, we don't know how it's going to go, right? Or is Tavondre Sweat going to be on the board? So 21 and 55, I think it's going to be trenches. I think it's going to be a combination of edge, defensive tackle, and an offensive lineman as we sit here today. Now, that can change, obviously, in the next 24 to 72 hours very easily, right? So, depending on what goes on with free agency continuing here. Who can we get at edge in free agency? Listen, a guy who I really liked, he went off the board today. Marcus Davenport, he got signed today. There's options. I think you got to look at more rotational pieces. Don't look at guys who are going to be looking to get paid. Like, how much does Jadeveon Clowney want? He might want a lot because of the year he came off, even though he's older, right? I think a guy like, Chase Young, he's out of your range. I would check in on maybe a Josh Uche, more of he's built to be a rotational guy, right? Out of Michigan, good player. Josh Uche would be good. Guys are getting locked up. I mean, we're getting at the point where we might have to call Calais Campbell here because guys are getting locked up. Like AJ Epinesa got locked up. Danico Autry got locked up. I believe correct me. I got to check, actually. I don't know if Leonard Floyd, I read something earlier that they were working on something. Yeah, the 49ers signed Leonard Floyd, and and they gave him $10 million a year. You know, a guy I really liked was Marcus Davenport, who got that 1-year deal. You know, I know people don't like him. Do you go and bring back a Kyle Van Noy? Y'all saw how good he was with the Ravens last year. Now, I know there's going to be people that are in their feelings and not fans of him, but do you go and ask a Kyle Van Noy, hey, are you down to come over here and put in some work? But I think Josh Uche, we talked about him in the space earlier today. You know, Jennifer Forbush as well as Neil brought him up. I agree with that. You know, Josh Uche would be a guy who I would be seeing what we could do there. Had a little bit of an off year last year compared to the year before, but he's a great pass rusher, right? Especially on those downs where you got to ask them to pin their ears back. Josh Uche is a perfect guy. So, you know, maybe you sign him on a 1-year deal. I don't know, but there's options out there for sure. Options out there for sure. Keeping up here. Ali the Persian says, do you think, what's going on Ali? He says, and go follow the boys at the Fins Tailgate. Do you think we make a move at safety in free agency or in the draft? I think it's still in play right now with Deshaun Elliott. I think that's very much still in play. Remember, Anthony Weaver coached Deshaun Elliott over in Baltimore. Didn't coach him, but he was on the defensive staff where he was. So I think Deshaun Elliott's very much in play. That's another option in the draft, right? I mean, when we talk about safeties, and you know, there are some good players in this draft. Now I know all of you Hurricane fans, you're all Kinchins fans. I get it. But, you know, there's guys when you go beyond them, and there's some guys I like, you know, in the safety class. You know, you got Cole Bishop. You got Tyler Nubian. Tyler Nubian's, for my money, the best safety in this draft. You know, you got Javon Bullard, you know, Kalen Bullock, Jaden Hicks. And I think a sneaky one who, if you haven't watched him yet, you should go watch him, is Dadrion Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech. That's who I would recommend. If you want a sneaky guy who you can watch and who might rise a little bit, Dadrion Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech, you know, yeah, he might rise up people's, as they watch him. I'm talking about, you know, you guys out there. As you watch him, he might rise up your list as favorites. I don't know if any of you in the chat have watched him, but he's a good player. So there's options in the draft. But I don't think it's over and done with Deshaun Elliott yet. I really don't. I think they're gonna look to see if they can bring him back. Senior Relojes, aka the Watch Mister, he comes through and he says, I'm really, really excited to pick Arch Manning with their first pick in the 2025 or 2026 draft. Trading Tua to China will incur a large dead cap hit, but that's okay. Here we go. Rebuild 2025 to 2026. Come on. I know you're trolling too, Watch Mister. Why you got to get toxic up here, huh? Why you got to start it up, huh? Sending them to China. Look at this guy. Come on, bro. Arch Manning. This is unbelievable. Anyways, this guy, you kill me. You kill me, bro. You kill me. Continuing on here, because we ain't done, because the Dolphins weren't done. The Miami Dolphins, they agreed to a 3-year deal worth $21 million with Aaron Brewer. And I got to say, wow. If you remember, let's remember, Aaron Brewer, Andre James, and Connor Williams were my top 3 center targets for the Miami Dolphins. In fact, if you remember correctly, Aaron Brewer was my 14th overall player on my target list. And I'm going to tell you why right now. I'll rehash what we said when we were up here. He's shown versatility since joining the Titans. Remember, he was a UDFA. So first of all, congratulations to you, my friend. All right, he's taken a large amount of snaps at left guard, and then he took over starting center this past season. He is an absolutely perfect fit for the outside zone scheme in Miami. He has the athleticism to get to the second level in the blink of an eye. He's going to continue to get better as he settles in at center. He's only 26. And now, he's given up 70 pressures over the last 2 years, including 10 sacks, but he's been transitioning from left guard to center. Listen, we all knew what Connor Williams was when he came here. He was a left guard and one of the best damn run-blocking left guards in the NFL. What happened? Our coaching staff converted him to one of the best damn centers in the NFL. Aaron Brewer has already looked like a top 15, top 12 center in his first year. Sure, he's had his rough moments, but that's because it was his first year playing it full-time at the pro level. The way this guy moves, he's one of the more athletic mobile centers in the NFL. This is another fantastic pickup. I think the coaching he's going to get is going to be better than what he got in Tennessee, and we already got a sniff of what he was in Tennessee. And again, I just said, a top 12 center in his first year trying it out. I'm very confident in this move because of what they did with Connor Williams. With what they showed us they could do with the conversion for Connor Williams, I have all the faith in this world. And again, look at the cap hit. $7 million per year. And what were we talking about on this channel from the last couple months? Whether it was Barry Jackson reporting it or me telling you guys from what I was hearing. Connor Williams wants 10 plus million a year. Connor Williams, the reason why he's not signing today and Drew Rosenhaus addressed why he won't sign in the first phase of free agency is why? Because the medicals will drive down his price and he won't hit the money he wants to hit. Guys, Connor Williams is not coming back. I've seen people say, hey, can we bring him back? It's over. It's over. Connor Williams is done. It's over in Miami. That's just what it is. He's got 2 ACL tears in the last 4 years. That's just where we're at right now. And he wants to be paid like one of the top centers on the market. It's over. Like, that's just what it is. And let him go somewhere else. And look at what this team's thinking. We made you that center. No one else believed in you becoming that center. Look at what we built you in. This coaching staff believes they can take Aaron Brewer to another ceiling. I told you guys, one of their top targets coming into free agency, from what I was hearing, was Andre James. He gets signed yesterday, and they pivot right to Aaron Brewer. Now, I'm sorry to all of you draft people as well. The Jackson Powers Johnson dream is dead. Unless he's there at 55 and they like him at guard, which Jackson Powers Johnson can play left guard, right guard, or center. That's dead, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Frazier, it's over. Aaron Brewer is going to be the starting center for the Miami Dolphins next year. I think Eichenberg is going to be in a competition at right guard with Robert Jones. And I think they've already talked about bringing back Isaiah Wynn at left guard, and I think they're going to draft an interior player. Or they could turn around tomorrow and sign, John Simpson for all I know. They could sign Damian Lewis for all I know. But they're going to make we're not drafting this center. And yeah, we could draft an interior player. That's definitely in play. Now, again, they might re-sign Isaiah Wynn, wait for the draft, see if a tackle falls, and give them the Tunsil treatment. You stick at left guard this year, and then we'll kick you out to left tackle when Armstead retires. That could be a play as well. Over 1,013 of you in the live chat. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. If you put a gun to my head today and said, Reason, where are they going with that 21 pick? The three options I would tell you are a tackle who can play guard in year 1 and then kick back out in year 2, an edge rusher, or if one of the two top defensive tackles are on the board, whether it's Newton or Murphy. Those are the three areas right now I would be honed in on. And my first big board, depending on how the next 48 hours goes, is going to be one of those three that's going to come out this week. Remember, we do it best over here on Phinside The NFL. I give you my big boards, top 15 players with player evaluations for each guy, and the top 5 players of each big board. I include all 22 for you because college all 22 is like gold. It's hard to get a hold of, but your boy's got access to multiple libraries. So, we'll be going through that and we'll be setting that up for you. So I'm going to probably be doing edge or defensive tackle is going to be my first board, just to be totally transparent with you guys. All right. Because it's that if I put my money somewhere, that's where I'd put my money right now. Franklin Higgs says Greer on his GOAT status. F them picks, trade back, and get more picks. Reason with the recent signings, do you think it would be smart to trade back? Yes. Let me tell you why. I love Chop Robinson. 21 feels a tad too rich for me. You took him at 26, I would love it. But again, I love the player. And I think under Anthony Weaver at 21, we could be looking back at Chop Robinson in 2 years and say that guy was a top 10 pick in terms of value when they do the redrafts. That's the ceiling on that kid. We are talking about Micah Parsons light with Chop Robinson. So, yeah, but trading back, listen, again, 21, it's that prime spot. Next year's quarterback draft class isn't particularly good outside of Shadir Sanders, right? And you could get a team, right, if J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Caleb Williams are off the board, and Penix and Bo Nix are still on the board, you could potentially get a team to come up at 21 and pay a little bit more of an extra premium for that pick. So, yeah, I would be open to – I would not be closing the door on trading back by any stretch of the imagination. That door needs to remain open. The only way it shuts if I see the board start falling and we get outside the top 15 or we're getting to the top 15, right to the 15 mark, and like Brock Bowers is still on the board, Olu Fashanu is still on the board, Troy Fotnu is still on the board, Leatu Latu still on the board, Jazair Newton still on the board. If we get to that point, then I wouldn't trade back. And there's going to potentially be a plethora because I hear Quinnen Mitchell and Terrion Arnold are probably going in the top 15. There's going to be 4 quarterbacks that go in the top 15. So, add that with the 2 corners who I think are going to be overdrafted. I don't think Quinnen Mitchell or Terrion Arnold should go until the 20s. So that's 6 players right there I've named in the top 15 that's going to push talent down to us. John C., we need to focus on extending our great players the year before free agency. Like everything else, it only gets more expensive in the future. I agree 110%. And I think, John, that's what some of the moves today were all about. Listen, people are going to try to lie to you. They're going to try to misinform you because they've got agendas and, they've got narratives at work here. Moving on from Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Brandon Jones, that $250 million of dollars, that was not about Tua's contract. That was about making sure you can keep Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, and Jalen Waddle on the roster. Listen, if you're going to take 3, it was basically a 3 for 3. Do you want Wilkins, Hunt, and Van Ginkel? Or do you want Waddle, Phillips, and Holland? Holland doesn't have a 50-year option. I know for a fact they want to get a couple of those 3 that I just named from that 21. They want to get deals worked out before the end of camp. And I know Holland is the number 1 priority out of those because there is no 50-year option. I expect the 50-year option to be activated for Phillips and for Waddle because they're cheap, right? They're each like I think Waddle's $14 million and Phillips is $13 million. And given what we're seeing in the market right now, sign me up. So, and then what does it allow you? When you activate the 50-year option, then you extend them, you can start playing with money in the first couple years, right? So, I think these are 3 they're going to try and get out ahead of this. Their discussions are going to be open with all 3 camps this offseason, and I think they're going to, at least Holland, they're going to try and hammer Holland out this offseason, 110%. 110%. Hammer says, do you think Brewer's size might be a problem if we don't get a big guard next to him? I mean, 6'1", 274. What was Connor, right? Like, Connor here wasn't, 330 pounds. Now, Connor was 15. He had like 30 or 40 pounds on Aaron Brewer. So I do get that. And obviously Connor's also 6'5", not 6'1". But, listen, that's a decent question. We're going to find out. Now, I don't think he has a weak anchor. Like with Aaron Brewer, I don't put on the tape and I'm like, oh, this guy's got no anchor. You know what I mean? So I'm not overly worried. I'm really not overly worried. I mean, he's quick, in run blocking, and he moves bodies. I mean, for a guy that's 275, 6'1", he moves bodies, man. Now, how's that going to look when he's got to line up with, a guy like Christian Wilkins over his nose? We're going to find out. So, I'm a fan of him, man. I'm a fan of Aaron Brewer in the addition. And when you look at what we run in terms of our zone blocking, he's like damn near a perfect fit. So, and I mean, you'll see plays of him just driving guys and putting them on their ass. So he can pass guys off. He's just going to get better at the position. And he's probably, realistically, let's be honest, he's probably going to bulk up a little bit. Now, I don't think he's ever going to get to 317 because Connor Williams' 6'5" frame can carry that. So, fake spike. Yeah, I think these do change. Like, I think tight end is off the board. I don't think they take a center in the first 2 rounds. That's off the board. I think it does change a little bit with the way you draft. Linebacker, all of a sudden, now that you've made that linebacker room a lot more solid, you're not panicking as much because if you're not going to be able to supplement a player of Christian Wilkins' caliber for Christian Wilkins this year. But if you can shore up that second level and make sure it's even tighter against the run by adding an Anthony Walker, you're trying to supplement it in multiple different ways, and that's very responsible of Chris Greer. Reason, would you be mad if we gave up a 2nd and a 5th for Sneed? No, and I'll tell you why. You know why? Are you going to find a better player at 55 than L'Jarius Sneed? I could make the argument you might not find a better player at 21 than L'Jarius Sneed. It's just I'm not giving you L'Jarius Sneed to turn around. I'm not giving you a 21st overall pick for L'Jarius Sneed just to turn around and extend the guy. But the whole point with free agency, this is how I have always viewed as free agency. Try to fill up as much holes in terms of starter and depth as possible. Spread out your money so you can fill up as much as possible so you can be flexible in the draft. You can feel like, okay, I'm at 21. I'm just going to take the best player available. Not, well, I got these 3 different positions that I'm going to take BPA at. I'm going to take BPA, but only to these 3 positions because they're really needed holes. You want to use free agency to always allow the ability for you to be flexible in the draft. So, what do you think about getting Von Bell, the safety, for cheap, and Mark Valdez-Scantling, the wide receiver, to add a bigger body wide receiver to get rid of bald head aced? I don't know what you mean at the end there. Okay, so let me break. First of all, Von Bell. If I remember correctly, now people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive. I had Von Bell last year on my free agent target list. I'm almost 100% certain I had him on that list last year. I'm a fan of Von Bell. He's a cheap option. He can do what my first priority at safety would be trying to bring back Deshaun Elliott. He knows what's going to be expected of him in this defense. Remember, he was called the Joker over in Baltimore when he was in that defense. So I would try to bring back Deshaun Elliott. And yeah, if you can't, I love Von Bell. Right? Obviously, he's getting a little up there in age. But, Oh, he's talking about to replace Cedric Wilson. Okay, so Marquez Valdez-Scantling to replace. I've told you guys who I like. If we're gonna listen, I'm down for adding a big body, but is the plan for them for Izakama to fill that role? I know they had certain portions of their playbook last year that were designed around Eric Izakama and running looks out of 12 and 22 personnel looks out of 11 and 21 personnel. So, with Eric Izakama, that might be their idea because, I know he had setbacks last year, but they've been working and developing him out of Texas Tech. That might be their idea. Now, when you talk about, there's guys you want to talk about a big body guy, Xavier Legette at 55, baby. That is the prototypical McDaniel guy. But now the guys that I like in the slot, Curtis Samuel would be a guy that I would be checking in on. Curtis Samuel is a jack of all trades, right? He can play the boundary. He can play the slot. He can line up out of the backfield. He can block. Curtis Samuel is a guy I'd be checking in on. Because Curtis Samuel still can separate, still can score them touchdowns, and still can make plays. Two other guys I like, obviously, are Darnell Mooney, and I think he'll be more expensive. But Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd ain't going to break the bank, and how good of a number 3 has he been in Cincinnati? He has accepted his role as a 3 behind guys like Higgins and Chase. He would fit right in here. And a guy who can block as well. There's options. There are options. I'm telling you, man. There are definite options. Again, I see someone said Xavier Legette is listed off. So this is why you got to watch the film and do your own evaluations, brother. Not rely on other people, because especially when you get, how many times you see people doing mock drafts and guys they're mocking at 162 to themselves are now going in the top 100, right? You got to watch the film so you can kind of get a sense of how other people might be viewing him. And then B, from there, you got to see how he stacks up about other people. But I'll tell you right now, Xavier Legette is in my top 7 of this draft at that position. He's a beast. I'm a fan of Xavier Legette, man. That guy, and he just screams McDaniels. He just screams McDaniels vision. Yeah, you need to watch him. Watch him. I'm telling y'all, watch Xavier Legette and come back to me and tell me what you think about him at 55. Because I'm going to tell you, you're going to like him. He's a beast. He is a beast for real. So, man, live twice today, guys. And tomorrow, date 2 of the tampering window. You know we will be live for that. We are just getting started, baby. We are just getting started. Do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. There's over 970 of you in the room. We had over 1,020 in the room tonight. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And guys, as always, fins up all day, every day. I'll be live tomorrow. Then I'll be live on Wednesday, first day of free agency. And then I'll be live on Thursday with Neil. It's coming your way, guys. We'll see y'all in the next one.